I'm a little nervous, so I don't know how well this is going to go. But for those of you who don't know me, my name is Landon, and I've been coming to the temple pretty much my whole life. I think throughout all the way up into high school, and then took a break for college, but I've been here since maybe 2005. I'm going to give a Dharma talk. It might get a little emotional, so bear with me. And also, my friend is here, and he thought it'd be a great idea if I had question and answers afterwards. So for my friend Drew Thorne, who's sitting right there, so just to kind of point him out a little bit, he thought it would be a good idea to have it, so I just thought if you guys wanted to, we can, or I'll just end early too. Okay, so I guess actually, would you please join me in Gasho? In the words of Ukwe from Kung Fu Panda, you are too concerned about what was and what will be. There's a saying, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift. That is why it is called the present. Namo Nobutsu. Namo Nobutsu. Namo Nobutsu. Okay. So a few weekends ago, maybe more about a month now since I wrote this a couple weeks ago, I attended the 66th Annual Northwest Buddhist Convention in Tequila, Washington. If I'm saying it wrong, please correct me if you're from Washington. It was filled with friends, our rallying cry, Shinu Mare Nonde, which surprisingly can be another Dharma talk for another day, and of course, Buddhism. The theme this year was, Where Am I? Sensei Greg Gibbs said, where am I? Wherever you go, there you are. This is a quote on being mindful. But at a family conference, my Saturday t-shirt read, Drunken Geisha Karaoke. Leave it to Landon to be completely oblivious to the fact on where I was going. I even got lost 2 times before finding my hotel and friends. In theory, I don't take full responsibility because there's 2 hotels with the same name, and they told me on the phone, take the white shuttle bus. So when I got on an actual white shuttle bus, I went to the wrong hotel and waited for about 30 minutes before I came to realize none of my friends are here, and I don't think this is where I'm supposed to be. And they had to arrange for the white van, again, van, not shuttle bus, to come and pick me up, and I still got lost walking to the hotel after that. Not aware of where I was or being mindful of my present surroundings. We easily forget where we are and not live in the moment. It can be a physical place or time, but it can also be a state of mind. Sensei Greg Gibbs did a workshop on the 6 realms of existence, and that reminded me of a story, which will be my Dharma talk today. As a youth, I was filled with gas. Does anyone know what gas stands for? Not? I think I'm hearing it. Can someone just yell it out really loud for me?
Greed, anger, and stupidity.
Yes, that is correct. It means greed, anger, and stupidity. And the S is actually supposed to be ignorance, but GAI wouldn't make any sense, so gas works a little bit better. And of course, people are full of this, and it causes us to suffer, and I definitely know this all too well. After college, I worked at a drug rehab with kids on probation. There I learned about addiction, my own selfish ways, and the steps to recovery are very similar to spiritual reflection and self-awareness. Both of these aspects are key elements in which people must work on to have a stronger understanding of the self. In this job, I knew these kids were from the streets and could definitely be dangerous to work with. I know that I'm no different from these kids. I've just been lucky that I didn't end up in the same situation that they did. When I was younger, I think I even wanted to be like them. The difference was, people invested time with me, looking over the fact that I was a foolish, ignorant being. Carl Yanari, who I think most of us know, and the previous reverend, or 2 previous reverends, Sensei Hiroshi Biko, did not focus on the path that I was on, but instilled Buddhism to plant seeds for later who I may turn out to be. Excuse me. These 2 people are responsible for giving me the Dharma seeds. So when I needed it most, I could start to grow out of my own dark place. The saying, "Okage sama desu," stands out to me out of many terms that I have learned. Originally, because of you, I am who I am. Recently, I was studying this to give a better definition to one of my friends, and I came across something which is kind of ironic. Sensei Dean Koyama, who I think we all know will be joining us fairly soon, gave a better definition. I would like to share it. He said, in Japanese, there's a wonderful expression, "Okage sama desu." O, an honorific meaning your, kage meaning shadow or shade, and de means because of. So the meaning of Okage sama de is because of your shadow, and the implied is, I can rest from the hot sun. In college, I had 4 professors and an advisor, and they were probably the reason why I graduated. I wasn't really interested in going to school. I kind of thought about going to the military with some of my other friends. I felt like it would be kind of, not easier, but it would take care of the needs that I needed to maybe worry about, like food, housing, clothing, stuff like that. I wasn't really good in school, but I was convinced by some people that I should try. And I definitely know that in college, it was scary. If it hadn't been for these 4 professors and my advisor, I don't think I would have made it. But these people, they took an extra interest in providing me guidance. Unfortunately, suffering, 2 of them took their own lives. I never got to express my gratitude to them for believing in me, and I wonder, would it have made any difference? Would it have helped them maybe get through what they needed to get through, just as maybe they had done for me? Not unfortunately, but as I need to be mindful, in my profession, over the last 3 jobs I've had out of college, I've also had to help clients deal with deep depression, and I think I definitely appreciate more as someone who's had other experiences with this. I know how much they need my help. Recently, a friend of mine also took an attempt on his own life. And years ago, it was him who took me to dinner when I was suffering because another friend had taken an attempt on hers. He comforted me as I was lost and suffering in pain. I had been returning from the college YBA trip, one of the young adult groups that I was advising for, and I had turned my phone off, which I really never do, but I thought, like, I'm going to be in the moment, I'm just going to enjoy the time here, and I'm not going to worry about outside things. Turning my phone on, I had a voicemail, and it was informing me that my friend was in the hospital. And it was pretty hard for me. I mean, I've been trained in mental health. I think I should have seen all the things that led up to that. The attempt that she had on her life, and I missed it. And that was hard for me. I had to deal with the fact that this person also had training in this, and they had probably hid the signs for me so that I wouldn't worry, because I think they knew that I would have. So my friend just picks me up, and he's like, well, we'll go get some Mexican food, you know, we'll talk. It was hard for me. I remember I was feeling like I was going to cry, but, you know, I didn't want to make it any more awkward for the person ordering the food from me, so I kind of just pushed through it, and I ordered an horchata. I don't know if anyone drinks horchatas, but it's good, right? Yeah. Not healthy, but it tastes good, and I felt at that point it was better than maybe having an adult soda. So I was really looking forward to it, and the lady kind of looked at me and she said, "Sir, I'm sorry, we just ran out and we're closing, so we can't make any more." And I was like, okay, it's fine, thanks. There's nothing we can do about it. I'm pretty sure that she noticed that I was not in the present moment. That like 100-yard stare, I'm pretty sure that I was just kind of oblivious to everything that was going on. It was kind of like it was moving in almost slow motion. We sit down, my friend just kind of talked to me, "You're going to be okay, it's cool, like you're going to, you can help your friend, everything's going to be fine." And the lady came out with the food, and she handed me a large cup, and I was like, "Well, I didn't order a soda." And she's like, "No, we just made some extra horchata, and we just made it for you." And I was like, wow, that was really nice. This is an example of Okage sama desu. I will always remember that act of kindness. Anytime I get Mexican food, I usually get an horchata. And I feel like I can't ever repay this person. Like, it's impossible. Like, I go to the same food place. I don't even remember what she looked like, honestly, but I know that I can't pay her back for her good deeds. I think I ended up giving them like a $15 tip just because I just was like, wow, that was just the nicest thing you could have done for me. So Carl, Sensei Biko, my professors, and my advisor in college, they never wanted me to give anything back to them. I was told the word arigato comes from the Portuguese word obligato, or debtor. We, I think, know it as thank you if you know any Japanese. But I feel like we're missing that deeper meaning. It's something that we lose maybe in the translation. Again, like okage sama desu, because of you I am who I am. That's nice and it sounds good, but there's this deeper meaning that we're missing, unless you obviously speak Japanese, and I don't really. So, I think those are things to be mindful of. The shade these people provided me, and they were obviously not the only ones, but in terms of maybe my spiritual growth or my academic growth, in a time where I really needed it, it stands out to me. One of my professors told me right before I graduated, I know you don't know what you're going to do after you graduate. She knew that I didn't really want to go to college. I was kind of just floating through it. I didn't take it super seriously. I didn't really care about grades. I kind of just wanted to get an education. I wanted to learn about something that would maybe make me understand the world. As a kid, you don't appreciate things as obviously the adults in here will appreciate it because you don't have the life experiences. And I went because I figured, if my parents are going to pay for college, it'll make them happy. They won't yell at me, and then I might get something out of it. I had friends, I had fun, but it was really good that I learned more about the world. This professor told me, I recorded you giving a tour of the museum. One of my interns I had was a museum docent, and she said I would like to use it next year to teach other docents kind of how to interact with the kids. She said, you relate to these kids, both the private schools and those kids that come from maybe the worst areas of the city we live in. I went to college in Tucson, Arizona. I don't know if anyone's been there. It's a beautiful college. It's a nice town, but it has some really rough parts. It's the main border town on the border from Arizona to Mexico. So any type of maybe illegal activity coming out of Mexico is going to be funneled through Tucson, Arizona. So it can be a dangerous place to live in. And she told me, you can reach out to both kids, like how to kind of put on a show for either of the demographic. She said, Landon, why don't you just teach kids? And I was like, I've done some tutoring and stuff. She's like, no, you should work with kids. You could at least do that until you figure out what you really want to do with your life. And that actually is what I did, and it's kind of led me to my journey where I currently am here talking to you. So this is a story about gas and sandwiches, and not about food and having maybe farting noises, actual gas, greed, anger, and stupidity. My girlfriend might disagree because she says I fart a lot. I have stomach problems, so it's unavoidable. I guess shikatakanai cannot be helped. So, going back to my story, one day a youth asked me if I could make a snack. And and this is within the group home. So this is my first job out of college. He wanted a grilled cheese, so I said, sure, as long as you eat your dinner. I wasn't agitated at the time. I think I was pretty calm for being in kind of a dangerous environment. But then he asked, hey, yo, Mr. Y. No one could say Yamaoka, so by default they would call the people that they couldn't pronounce their last names by the first letter. So Mr. Y was my name at the group home. You think you could hook it up with a grilled cheese? I yelled something in the lines of unrepeatable words, because we're in church. Do I look like some maybe more choice adult words, like your maid? God, you guys always want me to do stuff for you. Just get in the kitchen and make your own snack, or I'm not even going to let you have dinner. He left. He knew that I was pretty lenient, which is why I think he asked me for the snack. not being through rehab myself, like most of my coworkers, they said I couldn't appreciate the needs on how strict you needed to be, so the kids would usually come to me to ask for things, and I usually let them do it if they hadn't like gotten in a fight or like weren't like smoking cigarettes in the bathroom or something like that. He left. I kind of just forgot about it, to be honest. I got angry, obviously, I yelled at him. And I kind of just moved on. It wasn't important enough for me to kind of stay stuck in that kind of like moment of anger. But then I kind of start thinking, I haven't seen so-and-so in about 15 minutes. It shouldn't take that long to cook a grilled cheese, in my opinion at least. So then I start going into like kind of this bad mindset. I went from being calm into a bad place. And you know how your mind works. You start thinking the worst. I did not give this guy the benefit of the doubt. I just started thinking, he's probably smoking a cigarette in the bathroom. Now I'm going to have to get up. What's taking him so long? He must think I'm an idiot. He's trying to come up on me. Then I get angry. So I storm into the kitchen and I just start yelling, "What are you doing? Are you getting into trouble? Have you been in the kitchen this whole time? Seriously, don't lie to me. I'll know if you're lying. Did you eat more than one snack? Because I told you could only have one." He was standing over the frying pan. And he calmly says, "No, I've been waiting here for the bread to cook." "Mr. Y, I'm trying to make a grilled cheese. Hey, how long I gotta let this bread sit on the pan?" I look and I see 2 pieces of bread on the pan with no grease. And I kind of lost it. He says, "Hey, so when do I need to put on the cheese?" And I look over and the heat's on low. It's not even cooking. And I just start screaming. I'm pretty sure the whole house heard this. "Are you kidding me? Are you stupid? You were seriously pissing me off. I already told you that I'm not going to cook you your snack. What's wrong with you? You don't even know how to cook a grilled cheese." He lowered his head and shrunk his shoulders down like he wanted to melt away. This was the skinny kid. The kid who always talked really loud, was yelling, wore baggy pants and a big black jacket, even if it was 90 degrees outside. He just wanted to seem bigger and tougher so people in the group home wouldn't mess with him. I can still see his face, probably the same one I had when I ordered my horchata, finding out that my friend was in the hospital. It was a look of defeat. The youth, who was on a facility for drug use, had gang affiliation on his probation terms, reminded me that there was Akunin, or the evil one in this world. Uncle Umezu, he prefers us to call him Uncle Umezu, just in case you're wondering, says that the term Akunin, the evil one, isn't a good translation. He feels it would be better, again, this might have been something lost in the translations, that it should be the one who cannot be saved or the unsavable one. Possibly another good term for a really short Dharma talk in the future. I realized that day that I was the evil one because I had forgotten where I was. I taught him how to make a grilled cheese sandwich, a good one. I got him out 3 cheeses. I encrusted the bread with Parmesan cheese. We added some lunch meats. We got some Grey Poupon and added another garlic spread. He watches as I prepared it, and runs off showing his feast to all the other kids in the group home how Mr. Y hooked it up. Where am I? I was stuck in gas, greed, anger, and stupidity. It was a reminder that I was worse than he was. I should have been paying it forward for the people whose shade kept me from burning. Okage-sama desu. I was reminded that I was an arrogant person. I had wronged him, but just for making him a grilled cheese, he was happy. All things considering, at least for the moment, I think he had forgotten that he was stuck in a group home on probation terms. He didn't come from a home with abusive parents. He wasn't in the streets with his gang member friends and potentially being around other rival gangs. He was in a pretty good place. He was eating his grilled cheese that the Akunin, or unsavable counselor, Mr. Y, made him pretty much out of shame. I was reminded about my own gas, and I'm grateful that that day he became my teacher. My spiritual advisor and friend, Sensei Matt Hamasaki, who some of you probably know, told me over the summer, you just get the Dharma. His next comment made me kind of emotional. He told me, "I consider you my Dharma brother because you even teach me about it." Most of you don't know, but there's another reverend who's a little bit older than me, but she's in the same kind of area as Matt is. She just got her Tokudo, and her name is Sensei Joe Yusa, sorry. She also tells me I get it, but I had to admit to her, as we don't know each other as well, that I'm really not that great. Temple lessened suffering that I could not escape from. I do work with our kids, but I think when I first started working with them, it was a place so I would be near the teachings again. I told her that I was an akunin, but hoped that our kids, the junior YB kids, wouldn't end up knowing suffering or being in similar situations to me. I said, I pray the kids don't see the things I have seen, and I really don't teach them any Dharma talks, but I try to plant the seeds now so that they know there's something else there later. Last weekend at Techno-Buddha conference, actually my friend Drew right here, who is not Buddhist and has never been to any conferences or the temples, minus he used to come take Tai Chi with Dawn and I for a couple of months. He and I are going to be the co-chairs next year. So Drew got to hear this Dharma talk from Sensei Joe too, but she gave the Sunday morning Dharma talk at Techno-Buddha, and she said she too hopes that her kids don't suffer as she has. It was an emotional story, and she and I had kind of talked about it over, again, adult sodas at the Northwestern conference. So I knew that at some point I was probably going to start to cry. I started tearing up a little bit, but when she started to cry, I did too. And it's because I knew that she and I were the same. I'm sure there's other people in the situation, but we're not good people necessarily. I think we both realize that we need the Dharma for our own suffering first, but if able to, we would share it with others. I don't feel what I give back is even close in comparison because the teachings, even our children, they show me how to be human and how it is to really live. There is no time like the present, but we must be mindful of how we act so we don't live in a world of greed, anger, and stupidity. I get trapped there. I think we all do, but it's the teachings that help us move on. Life is short, and if we spend it caught up in our egos, we will miss all that life can offer us. Where am I? Am I in the moment and mindful I may only have right now to pay it forward? We only get one life, and we have to choose how we live it, so please consider this, and thank you for your time. Please join me in Gasho. The most dangerous beast is the beast within, and this is a quote from Star Wars, The Clone Wars, Episode 19. And so originally I had this mapped about 10 to 12 minutes, but it took me about 22, so I apologize that it was a really long Dharma talk. It wasn't supposed to be. This used to be about a 5-page paper, and then thanks to some of my friends who, Drew being one, Sensei Hamasaki, and Sensei Joe, and my girlfriend Mary, all helped me kind of condense it to a little bit shorter, but I promise next time if I ever do this, it will only be 5 or 10 minutes. Does anyone remember Sensei Bob when he came to speak, I don't know how long ago it was, and his little quote about him and his wife, how when he asked her to marry her, instead of saying, "I promise I will always make you happy," he said, "I promise I'll probably just make you miserable." And it's really interesting, but it makes sense. Maybe because I'm a guy, but I feel like it's smart. You set your standards so low that there's nothing you can really do to make it any worse. So I feel this will probably, if I do this again, it'll never be this long, unless we do some anime stuff. I have some Dharma talks we could do on anime, but that would not be me talking. That would just be you guys watching and me giving 5 minutes at the end. So thank you for your time, and if there's any questions about some of the terms, I would be more than happy to try to explain any of them. Not too many questions because I know we need to end service, but Drew, since this was your idea? No? Okay. Okay, thank you.